Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Dougal. This is the SAICA Show, proudly brought to you by the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. And with me is Rhoda. Hi there.
Hello, hi there. Welcome to the SAICA Show, everybody.
And it is really great having you with us today. And of course, we are streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. And this is an interactive show. So it all means we encourage your participation in the show. So please, any questions or comments that you have, please send it to us at Nickay Productions, as easy as that. And you might be asking yourself, the SAICA Show, what is this exactly about? Well, here it is in a nutshell. So what we want to do is we want to focus on the career of a chartered accountant, really get in-depth insights into it, because you might be considering this as a potential career opportunity. And let me tell you right now, this is a very exciting career opportunity. Because this is what we do. If you look at a chartered accountant, this is not a dull person that was in a grey suit and just crunching numbers. No, certainly not. Not even at all the case. These are highly motivated, analytical thinkers. And of course, companies, businesses highly rely on chartered accountants to make successful and very informative business decisions.
So true.
So that is it. And all I can say, if you want to be a business leader, make informed business decisions, then this is certainly a career opportunity. A chartered accountant is definitely a promising career opportunity. And of course, we're going to focus on some of the rewards. What are the challenges like? What is the road like? And what do you do in an everyday situation if you are a chartered accountant? So that is what this show is all about, the SAICA Show.
That is so true. So talking about the chartered accountants, you know there's a few known facts which I will share with you regarding chartered accountants. So number one, in 4 CEOs of the JSE top companies in the countries are CAs. And then CAs makes up 76% of the JSE top company chief financial officers. That's your CFOs. And our chartered accountants make up some of the most successful entrepreneurs. And then after completing their qualifications, chartered accountants are among the top 10 earners in the country. Oh, maybe I should look into that career. Eh? You'll find that CAs make waves in a variety of industries, including radio and TV, government, retail, food, banks and auditing firms, IT, on the rugby field, and more. In fact, 99 of the 100 best global brands employ chartered accountants. Wow. So whether you want to be a business leader, a key financial decision maker, or even an entrepreneur, the chartered accountant career path can get you there.
And,
beautiful.
You know what, I like what you said, because you mentioned a whole array of fields there
That is so true.
where chartered accountancy is quite prevalent. And I like the fact that you said if you want to be a business leader, entrepreneur, this is definitely it.
This is definitely it, yeah. So that's why I'm kind of looking at this and I'm thinking maybe I should do a career change here.
So this is what the SAICA Show is all about, proudly brought to you by the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. And more importantly, we need to hear from the experts. We need to hear from a chartered accountant. And of course, as I mentioned right on the top of this, it is an interactive show. So at Nickay Productions, any questions you have, we will gladly pose it to our guests. So it is a great privilege then and a wonderful opportunity for us then to talk to 2 wonderful chartered accountants. And Rhoda, who do we have?
Yes, so today we've got Kyle Williams and Michellene Barnes joining us, our CAs, qualified and in the industry right now. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michellene. Thank you, Kyle, for taking the time. Thank you for joining us on the SAICA Show today. There's so much to talk about, so much we want to know about all of this. But Michellene, let me start off with you, Michellene. Where did your journey as a CA then, or as a chartered accountant, where did your journey started?
And I started doing accounting and I enjoyed it. And let us 10 till 12, school arranged an online test for us. And this was just to gauge where your interests lie. And different categories you obviously score in. So some of my higher industries scores were in law and finance, among others. And once I delved into the career options within finance, the report basically came out with audit accountant, chartered accountant, and I was quite intrigued by what is a chartered accountant and how different it would be to just an accountant role. And and I then discovered that the chartered accountant is actually the qualification and the designation. And that's when my mind was essentially made up, and I stuck with that until I got to matric, and obviously working very hard to get good marks in order to gain entrance into the course at university. Well, a couple of years later, yeah, I am. So I followed through on that inquisitive inquiry that I did back in grade 9. So that's basically started.
Lovely, lovely.
So that is wonderful, Michellene. So it started for you at a young age. The sort of interest was piqued, and then you sort of followed through with it. So that is certainly very, very exciting, of course, and a great way to do it. So I like that. And then you work hard. And we're going to find out from Kyle exactly as well as to where his journey started. So it was early. She was just saying it started at a very early age. She was quite piqued by being a chartered accountant, and then she found out a little more about it, to exactly what it was, and then made sure she worked very hard in the matric year in order to achieve a certain marks, of course, and in order to pursue this as a career. Now, we're going to find out from Kyle that in a short little bit as well, to exactly how his journey started. But just to give you an overview of what we're doing today, it is the SAICA show, brought to you by the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. And this is really and truly a wonderful career prospect, because there's so much you can do as a chartered accountant. Firstly, as if you want to be an entrepreneur, this is a wonderful platform to sort of kick it off from, I would say. In addition to that as well, you'll be in a position to make key business decisions because companies really rely on chartered accountants.
That is so true. And Dougal, and especially for our students out there, it's as Michellene had said, you start at school. You need to look at pushing up your marks, making 100% sure that you're wanting to be an accountant to be able to achieve those goals. So it starts at school, having to make 100% sure that you get that education going, get your accounting marks up, getting your maths up as well. And I think very important is your maths and English, if I'm not mistaken. Having spoken to some chartered accountants or basically chartered accountant training that wanted to be chartered accountants, obviously with them, they again told us maths and English is very important.
So let's hear from Kyle, because Kyle is also joining us. Kyle Williams, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us here on the SAICA show. And we want to hear from you as well. Where did your journey, where did this all start for you? Where was the interest peak? Where did you think to yourself, you know what, I want to be a chartered accountant?
Hi, good afternoon, thanks. So my journey kind of started very similar to Michellene, in that at a young age in high school, that's when I kind of got interested in, I would say, accounting first. I'll never forget that, and this is the story I always tell everybody when it came to wanting to study accounting, was that I got 100% in my first ever accounting test in grade 8. And I think from that stage, I was like, okay, this is something I can do. And as you progress through the grades in high school, started liking accounting more, obviously taking a keen interest in mathematics. And then when it came for grade 10, choosing your subjects and so forth, including business economics into that, all of those things, was kind of the starting point in choosing the CA profession as a way to go, because it dealt with everything that was of interest to me in high school, being accounting, maths, business economics, and so forth. And that's kind of where it kind of started for me, from that young age already.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think probably just to build on what Kyle said, is also important for if there's school children that's watching, and perhaps educators who will inform school children. I think our journey obviously started with the accounting as a subject, but in order to become a chartered accountant, you don't actually need accounting as a subject. It's recommended, but it's not the most critical. The most critical is obviously mathematics. So I think that's just a very important thing for young school children to know. And as Carl mentioned, it's so diverse, and I think that diversity of the profession certainly piqued my interest as well, that I could do multiple things.
You know what?
Beautiful.
I actually want to ask you guys that as well, because at a young age, because for both of you at school, you already had this sort of idea that, you know, a chartered accountant could be what I see myself doing as a grown-up. Amongst you and your learner friends, your school friends at the time, were you all thinking the same thing at such a young age already? I know we all have different interests.
So yeah, I think I'll start with that one. Not in the friendship circle really. So we have a group of friends that we've all actually gone in separate streams. That if I think about it, you know, we all had our own interests, but at its core, we all took mathematics. At the core, but you know, in terms of going further than that, we kind of all spread our way. But it was very important that we all knew that, you know, mathematics, and then from there we would be able to follow our passions. Mine obviously being accounting, and then with the friends, others doctors, engineers, and so forth. But I mean, it all started with the core being mathematics at that young age.
So I think the question I'd like to ask as well is the fact, and I mean, maybe Michellene, you could answer this, I'm not sure, both of you as well, is the fact that, I mean, I'm looking at a student now doing accounting and thinking, I want to be an accountant, and say they don't have, or was it the same with you, being at school, thinking I want to be an accountant and not realizing in actual fact you could actually become a chartered accountant and not necessarily just an accountant?
Yes, I think through the online career test that our school arranged for all of us to do when we were grade 9, before we chose our subjects, that was one of the things that came out of the report, that all the career options within finance, and that piqued my interest to find out what is this difference. Yeah. And that's when I discovered that the chartered accountant is obviously the qualification and CASA being the designation, and what exactly it is that they do. And that obviously that what they do is not just one thing, it's not just accounting. And I say just accounting because whether you have an accounting degree or you are qualified as a chartered accountant, you can actually do so many diverse things. I think when I started, I knew no one who was a chartered accountant, absolutely no one. And I later discovered, when I decided on this path in grade 9 and later on in grade 10, that one of my cousin's friends would also be studying this intended career choice that I had chosen, and ended up also being into Tuka. So when I joined, she was also there. And another person that later discovered at the same school, but within my family circle or even beyond that, I didn't know anyone who was a chartered accountant. But yes, there is a difference, and I think it's important for people to know that. And it's also the career options are very diverse. So I think when we think chartered accountant, don't only think you're only doing accounting or you're only working with numbers. There's people who do the most diverse things, and it touches on so many skill set people have. I know some chartered accountants who are extremely creative, or they're very analytical, and that's the beauty of the qualification. You don't need to box yourself into anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like what you've said there, because you say it is something that you don't have to box yourself into. It is really, there's the accountants, the chartered accountants, that's entrepreneurs, but the scope within the field is absolutely huge. And I like the fact that you've shared how this journey started for you. You both of you, at a young age, you started getting into it, it sort of piqued your interest, you found out more, you did your homework, in other words, and then it started for you. But there's one thing you touched on, Michellene, as well. You mentioned the Tutuka program, and I want you just to sort of explain that for me. And were you involved with this? And if you did, how did that shape your journey?
So I'm sure when you said Tutuka, my face lit up. So the Tutuka bursary is the bursary initiative from the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, provided to those who would like to study towards becoming chartered accountants from previously disadvantaged backgrounds. And for me, I learned about it through interestingly enough, through Google. I think I was at the end of my grade 11 year, and I Googled literally the words bursaries for chartered accountants. And SAICA's website popped up, which included obviously the Tutuka bursary, and I read up more about this. And then I decided to apply along with obviously the other applications I'd done to other organizations. And I was fortunate enough to be accepted into the bursary. And I think from there, the journey also really started where I kickstarted my career. I was at Stellenbosch University, so they're part of the Tutuka program. And even through that, like, it wasn't just a bursary. And I think often when we think about bursaries, we only think about the money aspect that is given to fund your studies. But Tutuka aims to develop well-rounded individuals. And with that comes the financial support that they provide, but also the other types of support. So, for example, you get lecturers as mentors, you get access to tutoring, you get access to workshops for various development purposes. So whether it's time management, adapting to university, CV writing and interview skills, especially when you come to third year or honors year and you need to prepare for those job interviews, they try to fund those things to equip you with those skills and to prepare you. So it's really been a well-rounded experience, and each university's Tutuka program will run various initiatives. I was fortunate to be part of the community service portfolio and run a few projects, and later on serve as chairperson. And that also led to other opportunities as well. So it's really a holistic program that seeks to develop the students, but whilst also funding the studies, obviously.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a wonderful journey with Tutuka for me.
Oh, that is so brilliant. And, you know, it is so great because especially having that support, having that funding from Tutuka is so vital for our students today. And just being able to become the chartered accountant via the Tutuka funding. So, Kyle, I mean, you've been quiet now. I think you've been dodging the bullet here, hey? But could you tell us about your journey regarding the Tutuka funding as well?
Yes, so I was lucky enough as well to be awarded the Tutuka bursary, and I must say, one of those key aspects along your whole journey as becoming a CA is, in my view, is the network of people that you build up, and the support system that you have on your journey as well, and as Michellene mentioned, I think the Tutuka bursary and the Tutuka program in itself, aid you in both sides, because if you're part of this Tutuka program, you're a larger group of individuals and you're all pursuing the same goal. And in that way, that support system is being built. And I mean, that is one of those things that has really aided me and shaped, this journey that I've been on. I was at a different university than Michellene, but because we're both on the Tutuka program, we can bounce and learn from each other as well. And that's that support system and that network that gets built up. But outside of that as well, I mean, there's at university you're learning your academic stuff, but there's a lot of other things that the Tutuka program assists you with around leadership and just growing those softer skills. And I know one of the biggest things that has shaped my journey as a CA on the way there and post-qualification has been a program that's quite near and dear to my heart in terms of a SAICA camp that they run every year. Unfortunately, it couldn't happen this year, given the circumstances that we're under. But it's basically a camp that gets run every year for matric students, and it's aimed at getting them aware of the profession. You're trying to get them into the profession and so forth. And I started that journey with the Tutuka program way back in 2007. I might be giving my age away here a little bit. I started with that in 2007. But I mean, every year since then, I have been involved. And at first, it was as a camp leader. And that was actually myself and other students running the camp. So that already, while you're at university, grows your leadership skills. That's completely different to the academic stuff that you're learning at in your classes. So I mean, there's that. And I mean, post-qualification and post my academic journey, I'm now, and Michellene included as well, we actually train the next group of camp leaders. So it's the Tutuka program isn't just something that's there for you while you are studying to become a CA, but it's there post that as well, because you have opportunities to give back to the future generation of CAs coming through the pipeline. So that's the Tutuka, program has shaped my journey from the beginning and still does, because there's a lot of things that you can get involved in and a lot of learning that you can still do with it.
Wow.
Thank you, Kyle. You know what? I like that. And we're certainly going to be asking you what is your day-to-day like, what exactly it is that you guys do, without out spilling too much beans. But there's a couple of things that you have both said. And I like the fact that there's this Tutuka program that you are on. And it is constant. And if I could use the phrase passing on the baton, if I could even use that phrase in this conjunction, because you've been doing this for a little bit. There's learners at this program. They really get a sense of what it is like. And of course, with that, you handing over information that took you a couple of years maybe to have acquired, and you can hand that over to a younger generation, and then they can take it forward, and so this continues. And you yourselves, you've been involved with this for some time, so this is really fantastic, and that really keeps everything really nice. So I think that is brilliant. Now, with the whole process, how it starts, you finish school, you get into a program, and both of you were fortunate enough to do that. You get the bursary, you go get your qualification with your 3-year degree. What is the journey then? What happens next?
So once you go into university and you study the undergrad to major in accounting, you then also need to do honors or some postgraduate certificate in accounting at obviously the chosen university that offers this. And post that, you would also need to, almost immediately after that, you'll write your first board exam which is part of the journey to qualifying as a chartered accountant. And then you'll do 3 years of articles. And within that period of 3 years, you'll also need to do your second board exam. But before you do that, you'll need to complete a board course and have a certain number of months of work experience in order to write the board exam, this final one. And then by the time you finish your 3 years of articles and you have all your competencies and your hours that you need, your firm will be, or your company will be able to sign you off as that you have met all the requirements in order to be registered as a chartered accountant. And I think it's also important to note that you can do your articles training, your training at various firms. So you have both your audit firms, and this includes both private sector as well as the Auditor General or other public sector organizations, and also other private sector organizations, as long as they are accredited with a CA program to provide the training. So that we ensure that everyone receives the same level of training, and the board exams that you write, everyone writes the same exams.
Okay.
So that's basically the journey to getting that final stamp of approval that you are now done and dusted with everything that's required.
I just want to touch base on just the Tutuka, because I've got 1 or 2 comments as well from viewers that we have. So thank you very much for that. And one of it is from Rodriguez Robertson, who says Kyle was actually his Tutuka camp leader back in 2009. So
yes,
Bringing back memories. You know what comes across to me?
That is actually the joy of the camp, I have to admit, because I mean, I'm sure some of us who are on Facebook, you can still see the students and how they're progressing since they were at the camp. I know some of the students that were at the camp are doctors, some of them are chartered accountants, some of them are engineers. And that's really the beauty of the SAICA Maths and Accounting Camp.
Uh-huh.
You know what? Yeah. You know what comes across for me?
That comment from Rodriguez.
Oh.
That comment from Rodriguez, I mean, it's funny. Yes, I was his camp leader back in 2009. But, as I was saying, the network that you build up, Rodriguez is now one of those individuals who with myself and Michellene now train the next generations. I mean, we've come through a lot, so yeah.
This is a bit of alumni happening here for the SAICA camp. Just a quick one, and I'm looking at all of us and I'm listening to you guys. You know what, Tutuka and SAICA, the camp, it's really a family. For me, it's created a real family environment and a network that I think for the future leaders is so brilliant, because that's exactly what we need, Dougal, is having to build up those relationships and having this generation going through to be our future leaders and probably our government or our president one day, and actually having to have the support at the end of the day. So I'm quite impressed with the Tuka at the end of the day, and it's so sad that we couldn't have the camp this year. So you know what, how about you guys telling us a little bit about your highlights that you experienced at your camp? You know, Kylie, could you tell us a little bit more maybe about some of the experiences you experienced at camp?
So experience of the camp has been, has been it's all been high moments. I mean, I'll never forget my very first camp, which was, as I said, was in 2007, as a second year student, going into this environment where you now need to be leading people, and that was quite. And then also the people that I've met. People that I've met in that camp from 2007 who have now progressed to some being CS or done something else. I mean, I'm still in contact with them. And then, I mean, that network is big. Then from that, obviously moving to other camps, I was lucky enough to do camps in other provinces as well. So again, meeting other people from other provinces, those are some of the highs that came out from this camp. But for me, one of the biggest things that I really love about the camp is that when people come there, you get people that come there very shy. Mm-hmm. But when they leave at the end of the week, the tears flow from everybody because nobody actually wants to go. It's because you built up this relationship with the learners. You've built up this relationship with your fellow camp leaders. You've managed to get so much information that you didn't necessarily have before from an academic perspective and from a soft skills perspective, that you just want to be there and stay there for a little longer. And those are those memories that are always quite high. And that's why the camp is always so successful. And that year on year, there are more people that want to come to the camp because they hear about all the good things that happen there. Because it is a big learning experience. I mean, I've been there since 2007, and year on year, I learn something new. Whether or not it's from the speakers that come every year, or whether or not it's from the learners or the fellow camp leaders, it's just an enriching experience to be able to learn something new, as well as being able to give back of your time and your wisdom to the next generation. I mean, those are all the highs of the camp that make it special.
Yeah, I definitely concur with that. I think when my first camp started, myself and another camp leader, we had almost this pact or this rule that to say, if we only inspire or motivate at least one person at the camp by our actions or the things that we say, then we would have been successful. And I think we've surpassed our own expectations that we've set. And it's really seeing, I think it's also what the camp is, the camp leaders are obviously the example also to the scholars, the matriculants that attend, like what the next step could possibly be for their journey from school to possibly university, and also possible career choices. And then also when the speakers come, or us as camp trainers, and even when I was a camp leader, it's really being hopefully inspiring and motivating them. And also for students who come from difficult financial backgrounds, it's seeing and hearing the stories of other people who've come from similar circumstances and seeing their progression and knowing that actually I can do this too. And that for me is what I always try to get across to any student that I interact with, that regardless of your financial circumstances, which may be similar to mine or even possibly worse, that it is possible for you to progress and achieve your goals. And like Kyle has mentioned, the networks that you build, the relationships that are formed has been absolutely an amazing experience. And also the development, the skills development that takes place. I can definitely concur with that, because at a young age, such a young age, relatively, for university students to run and manage a camp of like approximately 200 learners or people, that's quite great. And they already learn teamwork, they learn to project manage, they learn things regarding logistics. I mean, just looking at this production that needs to take place, some of those little things they need to learn. And sometimes you need to adapt and be agile because things can go wrong and you need to figure out how are you going to adapt right now? How do we change the program? A speaker is possibly late, maybe stuck in traffic. What do we do to keep the scholars busy? So there's lots of fun also that happens at this camp. So it's not just academics. The academics is obviously very important, probably the most important, but it's also the other fun elements that takes place. That's absolutely amazing. And if teachers can send their matriculants to the camp, I encourage them to do so.
Sounds exciting. It does sound exciting. I'm intrigued. I want to go on one.
Teachers out there, please, educators, give this information to our matriculants as in yesterday. We need this information out to our students out there. Please get this information to them.
Certainly. And of course, this is the SAICA show. We're finding out all about chartered accountants. And if you have any questions or comments, then please, at Nickay Productions, do send it to us. We do have one question, and I actually want to pose that question to you guys right now. It is, thank you very much, Machawe Chawe, who sent this one through. If I'm just able to become a CA, because I'm in my first year at university doing a BCom in finance. So I want to know what is the next step after my degree in order to fulfill this wish. Now, Michellene, I know a short moment ago you kind of touched based on it, but here we have somebody who's first year at university studying in finance, doing BCom. What would be the next step? Does subject matter at that stage play a part as well?
Yes, so it's very important that the person is studying at a SAICA accredited university that offers the CA stream, and then also to know that they are studying the correct degree. And if they are not, whether that university also provides a bridging course. So sometimes at some universities, there's a possibility of you finishing your degree and then doing 1 year or so of bridging in order to do the subjects that we on the CA stream would have done. But if the student is already studying at an accredited university as well as the CA stream degree, then the next step would then be to do honors or postgraduate diploma or certificate in accounting. And then obviously from there, it's the board exams and the training contract that you would need to sign with an accredited provider to provide your training. So depending where exactly the student is, at which university they are and in which degree they are studying, that will influence the path. So there are, some people have followed different paths, but eventually then qualifying as chartered accountants, and others have obviously started with a specific CA stream degree at the university. But I think also if the student would love to know more, they can visit SAICA's website as well. And lots of the detail is provided there. Or if they have any questions, can obviously email too. There's many people who would be gladly willing to assist.
Thank you for your response there, Michellene. And Machawe Chawe, thank you very much for your question on the SAICA show as well. Much appreciated.
Yeah, so remember guys, it's not all institution that's actually accredited for chartered accountant and it's with the Tutuka funding either. So make 100% sure that before you enter into a university or apply to one and you want to be a chartered accountant, make sure that you're with accredited chartered accountants institutions that does offer the Tutuka funding as well. So not all of them are available for the chartered accounting Tutuka funding. So just make sure about that, guys. So Michellene, this one's for you. So could you tell us your journey? And I found out that you actually get a SAICA trainee and then you get the Chartered Accountants SA. So you as a SAICA trainee, could you tell me about that journey?
Wow, so my journey I think started in, I think it was 2013. And then I qualified at the beginning of 2016. So I did my articles at an audit firm, and from there, obviously, I operated in or worked in financial services for financial services clients. That was my audit area, but again, that was so broad because there was stockbroking clients, there was insurance, there was medical schemes, pension funds, so it's quite broad. And this may differ for different people depending where you're doing your articles and whether there is a split. But I think for me, it was also a very interesting period because I obviously came to do my training and get the different competencies that I need. But I was also able to hone and work on other skills and be involved within the organization and what they were doing through community service projects. And then also serve on various SAICA subcommittees for trainees, which was also a great learning opportunity. Again, learning and developing and honing different skills. I think the 3 years was great. Again, it's speaking to similar to the camp that we just spoke about. Within your articles field, you also develop such great relationships with, whether it be management of the organization or your fellow trainees, very importantly. Those relationships formed, I think really is a critical part of your period of training. Many of your friends you make there, which become lifelong friends. And I mean, some people start businesses together or run other projects together. So for me, that was really a great period of learning, and that certainly laid the foundation also for any work I took on post articles.
Okay, all right. And Kyle, your journey as a SAICA trainee, to put it that way, what was your journey like?
Yeah, so my journey was quite an interesting one in my view, that I might have taken the path that not many people would go. And I did my traineeship in the public sector, which when you're studying, and I'm sure Michellene could maybe attest to this, that you don't get exposed to the public sector as much as you do to the private sector. So my traineeship was in the public sector, and that was actually quite different because the public sector has its own nuances, and not necessarily things that you come across in your undergraduate and your postgraduate studies. They do touch on a few things here and there, but I mean, now you thrusted into this whole different environment of the public sector, and I did mine at the audit firm that audits public sector. So that was quite a learning experience, and that's the one thing about your SAICA traineeship. Over your 3 years, you gotta remember, you're a trainee. You are there to learn, and you need to take in as much as you can. So regardless of where you go to, whether it be in the private sector or the public sector, audit or non-audit roles, I mean, it's an opportunity for you to take in as much as you can and do as much as you can. If there are opportunities, you'll get your usual items that you want to do, but certain things, if an opportunity arises, I would say take it. And that's how my traineeship was. That I was in audit. There were certain clients that I obviously needed to do. And then when I get my work done and there will be other opportunities to do other things, you grab those opportunities because you have these 3 years to hone your skills and get the competencies that SAICA requires you to get. But it also puts you in that position where when you come out of it, you should have a clearer picture of what it is that you like, what you want to do going forward. But the only way that you're going to get a clear picture of that is if you get involved as much as possible in your traineeship, and then take in everything. And that was my journey, was that I tried to do as much as I possibly could in as many different aspects of the traineeship that it allowed, so that when I came out of it, you are more holistic as a person and have a better view of what it is that you want to do coming out of it.
So, Kyle, just listening to you, you said the training is 3 years. Could a person, I mean, could you be in that sort of trainee status? Could it be longer? Could you be a little bit over 3 years as well? Or could it be shorter? Or is it a minimum required when you say 3 years?
So 3 years is your minimum requirement, because in terms of your competencies, you need to attain certain competencies and work a certain amount of hours, what they call core hours, that you need to be signed off, and that usually takes 3 years. If you don't meet your core hours or do not get your competency within those 3 years, there is the opportunity to extend it a little further until you meet those core competencies and those core hours. But the minimum is at least 3 years for you to attain those. And it should be sufficient. with all the work and all the competencies. But, the journey to become a CA and part of your traineeship, it is a bumpy one, and there might be a stumble in the road somewhere along the way that might push you a few months over those 3 years in terms of your traineeship. But you also have to look at it from the perspective that, again, it is your learning opportunity. So if you need to be a little longer to attain certain competencies and core hours, it's not a train smash at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, you will come out as a better individual and have better skills coming from it.
Brilliant. So, Michellene, this one's for you. So, I do believe there's different, I would say, probably jobs in the CAA, SA. Once you've now done your training, you now become a full-on chartered accountant, SA. Can you tell me the different jobs there is in it, and then also just mention some of your highs and lows within being a chartered accountant?
So they are I think we've also mentioned that it's so vast of things you can do, and I don't think we could possibly cover everything. But one of the roles is performing the work of accounting or accountant, and that will obviously be keeping different financial records, financial management of the business, or whichever organization you're working for, and then reporting on those numbers. And then you also could remain in auditing and practice as an auditor. You could go into consulting, where you help different businesses and clients solve their business challenges that they may have. You could be in IT, for example. I think, and that's why I wanted to break the myth or the stigma that chartered accountants only do accounting, because you could actually branch out into information technology or IT. There's a big thing, which is entrepreneurship. We know we have a high unemployment rate in South Africa, and chartered accountants can play a role here through starting businesses. And I know different chartered accountants who've started such a wide range of businesses, from storage companies to tech-enabled businesses trying to solve educational problems, to their own accounting and advisory firms, to being actual investors in other businesses, and that is their entrepreneurship journey. So it's really, really vast in terms of the entrepreneurship journey itself as well. And other people branch out into becoming social entrepreneurs as well, using their finance skills to solve other community or country-related issues, from healthcare to education. And then obviously there's also investments that you could go into, where you could manage other people's finances. So, and then there's also strategy. So it's really so wide, because now we're touching on like business economics type of information, or business studies. There's the accounting and finance side. There's I know there's I think a chartered accountant started a fish juice business to help, obviously, the health trend that we go through, that people want freshly squeezed juices. I think it's just been so vast and interesting seeing everything that chartered accountants do. Some have even branched out into marketing or human resources. And I think one would often think that that's not, how is that possible? But it's endless, because the training that you get in order to qualify as a chartered accountant equips you to perform various roles. I'm not saying immediately when you come out of articles, you'll step into those roles, but you can work towards that. So it all depends how you utilize the skills that you've acquired and that knowledge gained, because many of those skills are applicable to different industries and different roles. And then how you apply yourself in that and how you further hone those skills will become important. I think for me, my high is, I think it's definitely been the opportunities I've been exposed to because of following this journey, like I said, Tutuka, and the things I've been involved with there, the SAICA camp, and then other organizations on which I'm able to serve in terms of committees and giving back to society. And I think that's also led me on the journey where I'm trying to position my career now. And I think the learnings and experiences I've gained has really allowed me to have such wonderful enriching experiences and meeting wonderful people. So that has really been a high for me. I think, as Carl mentioned earlier, like the road can be sometimes bumpy and difficult. I think not everything, obviously not everything, this expression says that not everything in life comes easy. And sometimes it is tough when you're studying at night and maybe a fellow res person or friend is able to watch TV or do fun things and you need to study for exams. It's not always fun, but we do what is required in order to achieve whichever goal we've set ourselves. So I think stress moments haven't always been, it's not the most fun to experience, but it hasn't, I think, discarded the good and the great things that has happened along this wonderful journey.
I like that. Yeah, you gotta. The road might go up and down at times, but you know what? You gotta enjoy the scenery. It is the scenery is there. I like that, Kyle. And if you think about now, I mean, different jobs. As you said, you did training in the public sector side as well. And Michellene touched on a whole array of jobs that a chartered accountant would do. Is there anything that she missed out? And if you had to think of like a high, and you know what is really a highlight in doing those certain jobs, and maybe a low point, if you could touch on that.
Yes, so I think Michellene, did quite a good job in explaining very much a lot of things that you can do. Just one thing that I just also want to reiterate too, because I do get this question quite a bit, and then when people say, "So you say, what do you do?" Because there are some people out there that think that the CASA is a job itself, not that it's a designation that opens up many job avenues for you. And then obviously those job avenues that are what Michellene had mentioned. Just the one thing that I probably want to perhaps add is all those opportunities that you did speak of, because of the designation that you have and its worth. It's a designation that opens up those job opportunities for you locally as well as internationally. The CASA designation is world renowned as one of the best, chartered accountant designations that you can find globally, and therefore you get a lot of individuals who qualify as CAs who can then do all those things, such as being in audit or in consulting, so forth, that go overseas. So it has that ability, the designation itself has that ability to give you the opportunities that you want internationally as well. Then just in terms of some highs and lows, Michellene did mention that the highs of the profession is for me is the doors that it opens. I always like to say that when discussing with friends or family that, when you get a degree and so forth, certain doors open for you because you have certain skills. When you qualify as a chartered accountant, another set of doors open, and those set of doors, those are the highs. It's the opportunities that it's afforded me, the people that I've gotten to meet, the networking events that I've been able to attend, and just that insight that it's opened up to me because of the designation. Those are those highs that you get little nuggets of information from every little event or person that you meet, and those are because of where you are. That's allowed me to do that. In terms of the lows, again, as the journey that I spoke of, that can be bumpy. Getting the CA is not the easiest thing. And as Michellene had mentioned earlier, the journey in terms of your degree, your postgrad, your articles, and then those board exams. I mean, you got 2 board exams that you need to write. You need to pass the first one, and then once you pass the first one, you get to write the second one. I mean, I didn't pass my second board exam on the first opportunity that I got, and obviously that does delay your progress in becoming a CA, and one could see it as a low in that case. But so that would probably be a low for me. But it's that journey from, okay, I've failed this exam, but it's that perseverance to push through and then still become the CA. That then that low is as low as can be because the highs are so high from getting there. Yeah. So I think that those will be the lows. The journey is tough, and there will be a lot of low moments in that journey to becoming a CA, whether or not it's at undergrad, postgrad, or through your board exam. But I mean, one shouldn't let that get you down because the highs that come with it far outweigh it.
Yeah. You know what? And I like what you say.
Oh, Michellene.
Yeah, Michellene.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one more thing. I think in terms of career options, I think we also some other 2 career areas or avenues that people are not always aware of. But chartered accountants can also go into academia. become an academic, and as well as going into the public sector. So, for example, going to a public sector organization like a municipality or provincial treasury or national treasury or any other public sector institution. So it's really across sectors and roles and industries that you can go venture into. And I think it's important that people know that there's different avenues and no one person's journey is the same. And some people do multiple things. They have employment, but they also have, the new term is side hustles, or
Side hustles.
So, they do also have their own businesses whilst also having full-time employment. So I think in the time that we live in, multiple things are possible. And I think the students should take that into consideration as well, that you're not just limiting yourself to one specific thing all the time.
Yeah, you know what? I like what you reiterate with both of you. You mentioned it now, Michellene, Kyle mentioned it as well. That is really a designation, and you should look at it as just a piece in the puzzle. Because Rhoda, in the beginning of all of this, said that 1 in 4 CEOs are now JSE are chartered accountants. Now, you also mentioned that they're in all spheres of life, and both of you have conquered that now. So it is really this. So it is the designation, but it enables you, and you acquire certain skill set. It's going to open a huge amount of doors. So definitely very good. But what I want to ask you this, and it's more of a personal question. I want to ask both of you this. What is your day-to-day like? You both woke up this morning, okay, and you did a little bit of work, and now you're here with us, and now you're going to do work again. What is your day-to-day like? Without divulging too much information.
And I think probably would it be either before COVID, pre-COVID, or after?
Yeah, in general. What is your day-to-day like as a chartered accountant?
All right, I think I'll start with that one because I ask myself that question every day: is what exactly do I do? To be honest, so my day to day will vary. It will be a different day each day, of the week. I'm still in the public sector and I work in finance. My title is general manager for finance. That means I do quite a bit of general things, and why I say my day is not normally the same is because if I look at my portfolio, I oversee things such as reporting, budgets, assets, inventory, income, debtors, payroll, leave, and so forth. So, all of that, you can't cram into one day. But if I had to try and say what a typical day would be like, it's waking up, getting started, planning the day, and then identifying, there are certain. I'll be doing one of those things that I mentioned that's my sphere of control at the moment. But a lot of it is meetings, with internal and external stakeholders, guiding my team members in terms of what they need to do and so forth, reviewing a lot of financial reports, providing strategic guidance to management, as well as directors and so forth, so that we can make better business decisions. I think if I had to sum it up into maybe like a few sentences, is what I do on a daily basis, whichever sphere it is that I mentioned earlier, is that I will collate, review, and provide information so that business can make better business decisions on a strategic and operational level going forward.
Wow.
If I can kind of sum it up in that.
I think you summed it up beautifully. And Michellene, what is your day-to-day like?
Wow, I think so. I'm also currently in finance, and some of those things is what I also need to do in terms of giving input to my stakeholders for the different entities that I assist with, and also when ad hoc things come along, you adapt and you do those things as well. Like Kyle mentioned, there's financial report in the finance role. There's financial reporting. There's the accounting side of it before you actually get to do the management reporting. Perhaps there's assistance with other financial matters or board meeting, the papers that need to get prepared, and where necessary, my manager requires information for that, contributing to that. But I think for me also, and I've highlighted this earlier on, is the different things that we do both inside work and outside of work. I think both Kyle and myself are fortunate we do things outside of work as well. And it speaks to that flexibility of being able to do multiple things. I serve on different organizations, committees, and who want to contribute to society and making it positive impact. So that also takes up my day. So my day is not just, obviously, a majority of my day is doing my day job, but then there's also the other organizations where I serve on to contributing to their strategy, contributing to the implementation of our projects, whether it's before or after COVID and during COVID. I think that also keeps me busy. So it's really multidimensional in terms of the things that we do and that we do inside work and outside of work as well. And perhaps and each person's journey will be different. I think even within your own employment or your job, you may be part of other subcommittees that, whether it is for social or community service related or training related, where you participate. So it's really diverse in terms of what you want to get involved with and your passions and interests. I think most of the things I'm involved with stems from my own passions and interests, and also now where I'm steering my career towards stems also from those extramural activities, if I can call it that.
Wow, that is so intense but beautiful, you know, and that's what it's all about. You need to be interested in the job and you enjoy it at the end of the day and doing what you like at the end of the day. So we've got some people that's viewing us right now. We like to, Terry Adams is saying very interesting. Welcome, Terry. And then we got Heidi Edson as well, saying great show with our, thumbs up there. Thank you, the guys, for joining us. So Kyle, I'll probably pose this to both you and Michellene, sorry. And the question at this point is, we've got all our viewers watching right now, especially our students that's actually looking at this and wanting to be the chartered accountant and wanting to go and pursue this career at the end of the day at school, looking at this and wanting to say, I also want to do this. Is there any advice at this point that you would like to give them?
Yeah, so my advice to anybody who wants to pursue this career is it's basically the following. The journey to becoming a CA is not easy, but it's worth it. And I liken it to a road trip. If you're taking a road trip up to Johannesburg, there are many ways that you can go. You can go straight, or you can go via Kimberley, or you can fly there. But at the end of the day, you're going to get to Johannesburg. The most important thing is that if this is something that you would like to pursue, you got to stay focused. Find your support team that's going to support you through this journey to get there, and then gather as much information about the profession as much as you can. Michellene mentioned earlier that the SAICA website, saica.co.za, has so much information that can assist you in, on your journey in making the right decisions for you to get that, on your journey. So yeah, stay focused, find a support team, and get a mentor if you can also on your journey, because like I said, it's not easy, it's worth it. But if you can have that support system, be it friends, family, or a mentor that's completely outside of your usual circle, that will assist you in becoming a chartered accountant. And also be mindful that chartered accountancy is something that will take you places. It's not something that you have to be agile. No day is the same. So if that's the kind of life that you want, it's definitely worth it. But you will just have to remember that there are many steps to there. Stay focused on each step along the way. Don't get carried away to thinking, okay, the CA journey, 7 years, that's real. Don't think 7 years, each step first until you get there, and then that goal will come closer and closer. But if you have that support system and that mentor with you, that makes the journey a lot easier. But like I said, not easy, but well worth it.
Yeah. And Michellene, if you had to think about that, and you had to speak to a young Michellene now, if you had to talk to that Michellene that was in grade 10 or grade 6 or matric, what advice would you have for learners?
So I would really say, one, especially if you're also not sure about what you want to study, or if you kind of have this chartered accountancy thing in mind, I think speak to as many people. I think speak to your teachers, and I think teachers also speak to the learners about different career options available. If you can, if you don't know people in different careers, like I didn't know any chartered accountants. I literally, this thing just popped up on a report and I Googled. So I think if the schools can also assist in getting different speakers for the learners and expose them to different career options, that would be great as well. I think broadening your knowledge will help in making your decision. And then I definitely concur with Kyle is work hard and remain focused. That has been, no matter even how stressful things have been for me, that has been my go-to motto, that I need to work hard and I need to remain focused and know what my goal is. And whichever goal, obviously now I'm already qualified as a chartered accountant, but there's different goals. And I still apply that rule to work hard and remain focused. I think also just, again, I think speaking to the point I raised earlier is that for students who come from difficult financial backgrounds or other difficulties, don't let that deter you from going towards your goals and working towards them. I think there's so many people that are proof that regardless of your circumstances, you can progress and you can reach your goals. Sometimes it's much more difficult and it's not as easy as compared to maybe someone else's journey, but it's definitely possible. So yeah, that would really be like in a nutshell what I would say. And that very important, Google is your friend. I think really, that's where most of my information came from. Like especially when I was searching the role or work of chartered accountant, but also when I was searching for bursaries. As I mentioned earlier, I Googled bursaries for chartered accountants. Those were the words I used, and things popped up. I would then find the different companies that were offering bursaries. I would ask my mom to arrange that we are able to print the forms. That time, obviously, it's hard copy forms. Not everything was online yet. And she basically went and would post it for me. But I found the organizations, I filled in the forms, and she helped me where she could, and then helped me post it where it needed to be posted, or arrange for someone to email it because we didn't have those facilities at home. So Google really is a good resource. And if you don't have the facilities at home, I think try and find and speak to the school and your teachers also to like, how can you go about, I went to the library and there they had about 30 minutes that you could utilize the computer and search the internet. And I would go multiple days in the week to try and get that information. And also ask the librarians for assistance when I was stuck. Yeah. So work hard, remain focused. It is possible.
And Michellene, right at the top of the show, you said when you decided that you didn't know a chartered accountant. So I want to ask you now, how many chartered accountants do you know now?
Wow. I don't think we have enough time to try and discuss that, to try and figure out, especially between myself and Kyle, how many we know.
So guys,
but there are quite a few.
So guys, so this is it. Anybody who's looking at this, they go to SAICA's website, www.saica.co.za, and everything you would want to know. That would be the easiest starting point, yes?
Yes, no, definitely. There's a wealth of information for you to find, and contact details, to email, to call. There's different offices in the different provinces as well. So information is there. Reach out. They are more than willing to assist you.
Perfect. And I think just on that, because I'm seeing here, you got a revamped website here. So it's www.saica.co.za and then the /learnership students. So another place that you could go have a look at it as well. So there we go, all information that is there for you on a silver platter. Students, educators, I can't stress this enough. Parents, I can't stress this enough. If your kids are interested in accounting, if they're interested in becoming a chartered accountant as such, this is the platform that was created to give you that information and, take advantage of it.
Definitely take full advantage. Now, Michellene and Kyle, thank you so much for sharing your journeys of how you started off, where this all started for you, through your training, through your leadership, everything you've done, to your daily lives. thank you very much for giving us the insight into what a day is like of a chartered accountant. We really want to thank you for your time and for coming on to the show. To Michellene and Kyle, thank you very, very much. You certainly have inspired me.
Definitely.
I'm going to, yeah.
You can join us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you
was
for
great.
having us. It was a pleasure being here.
The pleasure was all ours. Thank you very much. So that was Kyle Barnes, Michellene Barnes and Kyle Williams, rather,
That's right.
that joined us. And then both of them, they are chartered accountants and they shared the journey. This, of course, the SAICA show brought to you by the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. So Rhoda, very, very insightful. The one thing we know now, this is a serious. It is a designation because it opens the doors to so many other
So
opportunities.
many. And I've learned so much. I mean, I was always under the impression, like they said, it's just about accounting. But I mean, wow, just finding out all the information, all the jobs out there is not just about accounting. So I've learned a lot at the end of it. And I hope everybody else, all our viewers out there, has learned a lot as well.
And I'm sure people would have, because all you got to do is you simply go to the SAICA website, okay? So it is the SAICA. You just simply go to www.saica.coza, as easy as that. And of course, all the information will be there, but this is definitely something for you to look at. So, brilliant. Once again, thank you for watching the SAICA show. My name is Dugald. This is Rhoda. With us today, we had Kyle and Michellene. Thank you for your time as well. And until next time, thank you for joining us.
See you. Bye.